All right, let's try this again. Let's try this again. Bird's eye view this time. Yeah, I really wish I could get rid of this, but I don't think I have something I can replace it with. I mean, get rid of it because we're not dry brushing that stuff right now. Let's see if I have something laying around here that. Well, I could cut this in half. Let's do that. I know it doesn't bother most of you people because you're used to seeing people's desks that are a murder scene of paint. Ah, that's a lot better. Like, what in the Jackson Pollock is going on here? So yesterday, I believe it was yesterday, it might have been the day before, I was talking about adding vehicles to my British team. King of Yo-Yos, that's a good name. I never could play with a yo-yo. It would go up once and down, and that was about it. Last time I tried it was like probably 1979. But I was looking for the British cars that we're going to use for the British team, and I pulled several of them out. They're on the other table, and I just couldn't find two of them. And I realized I had another stash. And this is the one I was talking about that we're going to call Jungle Jim. I saw this like, oh, this is Jungle Jim. It probably won't be called Jungle Jim, but some great white hunter, even though it's a safari park and you probably shouldn't be shooting things in a safari park. But this is probably going to have multiple people with magnums in this one. So, do I specifically use Matchbox or do you use all die-cast 1/64th? That is a good question. So most of the time, and here's another one, by the way. I saw this. I have not been able to see an entire Harry Potter movie. I think I made it through like a fifth of one time. But Ford Anglia, is that a real vehicle? Anyways, this is going to be probably could double as a nerd burglar team as well because there's grown ass people that dress up like Harry Potter. These just happen to be Matchbox. I call them Matchbox when I mean Matchbox and Hot Wheels. I use all brands, no name things. It's whatever's available. Generally, here in the United States, if you're going to buy them new, you're almost always going to get Hot Wheels. For whatever reason, they're more popular. But I don't have a preference. I really don't. There's Hot Wheels that are not as good. There's Matchbox that aren't as good. Matchbox tends to do more mundane vehicles. I actually picked up in this stash that I had. This was actually from Dollar Tree, and they had one of the most mundane vehicles I've ever seen, and I had to pick it up because I'm never going to see another one of these again, and now I'm having trouble finding it. Here it is. I can't believe they actually make this. A Nissan Sentra. So I'm like, well, I got to get that. Because it's like, if you had a Nissan Sentra, you'd be like, they'd never make a model of it, but they do. Auto World is nice because opening parts with detailed engine bay. I like to pay about $1 for them, okay? Now, that doesn't mean I haven't bought things that are more expensive than $1. I went to the vintage place and I ended up getting one of these, which they wanted $15 for. This one was open, so it was 10. This is the closest thing that I have to my own personal vehicle. I don't have an STI. I just have a standard WRX. It is in this color. It doesn't have a wang on it, and it doesn't have this cool hood like this or this little noggin on here. But it is in whatever the ice metallic color is. So this is going to be Sabrina. So anyhow, this I'd rather not pay a lot of money for it. The James Bond mobile, the Lotus Esprit. This was like $8, 7 and change. So I'm not really a collector, but I mean, it's happened. I have, I have too many. I'm having trouble picking this thing up. For those of you guys that are new here, we'll bring this over here. And this is my pile of cars. And I've got probably over 300. Now I've got like 50 of them completely done. And by completely done, meaning, you know, we do stuff like this to it. You know, and make them into weapons for Gaslands. You know, and I can knock out one of these in about a couple hours. So just have a lot of stuff to choose from. Even old ones. Here's a Matchbox one that's, I'll say, almost as old as I am. With parts on it. You probably recognize this. This thing's been around for a long time. 1977, I think. Yep. Matchbox 1977. This is the Wambulance. So, only thing I'm not really keen on is changing the tires out. I'm fine with whatever tires they have. This is a no name brand. I actually did look it up and I can't remember what the name of this manufacturer is, but this is like the whole thing is plastic, but it paints up pretty good. It weathered up nicely. You know, they have nice detail that just needs to be painted on. The rear lights on there, front lights, none of that's painted on. Give it some respect and it'll look good. So, and then of course the kind that people really, really like is this shit right here. When you really apocalyptic it up. But we use them to play games with them. So collecting, you know, I don't really want ones that are super hunts or whatever the hell they're called, you know. But I do go through there. I'm surprised how many adults I've found rummaging through shit. And some of these, you know, I got these from like the used place. Oh, this is one of the Nerdburglar teams. This science. Look at this absurdity. But for Gaslands, it'd probably be fine. You know? But I keep all these graphics on there generally and just weather them. I mean, they're cool. You know? So I play a game called Gaslands. And it's available on... It's an Osprey game. It's available on Amazon. And it uses Matchbox and Hot Wheels cars to play. It's a tabletop game. So use templates and stuff like that. Some of you guys may be familiar with X-Wing. I've never played X-Wing, but I heard it's similar to that. So this is the zany place that we're in, and this is what we do. So super cheap hobby. I didn't buy all 300 of them at once. This ugly thing. This was like all yellow and shit. Made it look decent. So most of these models, miniatures, whatever you want to call them, are actually really good. They just the sculptor does a really good job on them. Just the paint department decided not to paint some of this stuff. You know, but they got headlamps and all that kind of stuff on them. What is that sound? Oh, it must be the ice maker. It sounds like a didgeridoo. All right, let me see. Go back to you. You have zero respect for scalpers. Well, see, here's the thing about scalping, okay? You're not going to make any fucking money. You're not going to make any money, you know? And I don't mind looking for stuff that's rare, but, you know, the body style is kind of the same. So I don't care that this fajita truck, there might be some special fajita truck that comes in purple or something like that. And they only make, you know, one of them or whatever. I just don't like anything that's like collectible like that. Like, oh, try to find it and people get crazy. I'm like, you know, you're not going to make any money off that stuff. You know? You have a Knight Rider Firebird with the flames. That's cool. Real Rider rubber tires are awesome. You have a lot of skill what you're doing. Really bad, just have really bad taste in cars. Well, you know, what, the cars that, yeah, it depends which, I have all kinds of shit, you know? So, I personally like rice burners myself, but you can't afford real cars anymore. They're so fucking expensive. You might as well just get these ones that they're a dollar. So, trying to understand. She's a big fan of 64, very exceptional movement dials. Can you do that Lamborghini Huracan Cerato next? Do I have it? Did you see it? I don't know that I'm going to do it next. I'll move it up to the top of the pile. I'm going to do a Viper next. And the reason I'm going to do a Viper, I actually know somebody who has, well, they showed me pictures. They have one of these. So I think they'll get a kick out of, no, they don't get the fucking car. I mean, if they want to buy it from me, sure, but, I'm not really trying to sell my stuff, but they actually have one of these. So we're going to do this one. The Cerato, is it this? Oh, this thing. Well, see, all the Italian cars will have are part of the Italian team. Where's the Ferrari that I did do? Well, I can't show it right now. It's going to be in a few days. I'm going to get a case that we're going to mount here on the wall. Okay, we're going to mount it here on the wall, and all the stuff that I have will already be in them. Because right now they're wrapped up in like little tampons for travel. I'm not going to travel with them anymore. So we'll pull this out of here. I didn't realize it was an off-road car. I don't really know anything about this vehicle. I haven't played it in Forza yet. Oh man. Anyhow, thanks for joining us. So here we've got this. This is an old, is it a Hot Wheels, I think? From like 1982 or something like that. Tritarch! Oh man, look, your tow truck, dude! How you been, man? You haven't been back since I've done all the Mexican lowriders. Orale, where you been? The 911 Dakar. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, you see a tow truck. I actually know what I'm going to call this one. So this one has little gold rims and shit light on it. It's kind of like the bling tow truck, the urban tow truck. This one's going to be called Toe Jam, and I've got little speakers and stuff to put back here, so it's going to be the urban tow truck. This is going to be some redneck dude named Kevin. Kevin's 24-hour towing. So it's deluxe. I'm sorry, deluxe towing. I don't know what is deluxe towing, Tritarch. You've been sick and busy. You've been busy being sick, or you're sick of being busy. I'm sick of being busy. Yeah. Yeah, we got all kinds of Mexican vehicles now. We got this guy here. El Carnicero. I think this originally was a tow truck at some point. But when I got this from the garbage pile, and I think this is a Matchbox. It is a Matchbox. Peterbilt 1981. All I had on it was these two stacks, the body, and this whole area in the back was flat. So this is a 3D printer that makes this little grab arm, and it's like it looks like it's something that belongs in, what's that Edgar Allan Poe? Not the Telltale Heart, is it this pill? I don't know. The one where he's basically on the Inquisition and the thing's coming back and forth, cutting him. That's gonna cut him, and put a minigun on here, and no such thing. Well, as I was talking about it yesterday, my wife, when she gets her nails done. She doesn't get her nails done that often. But she says any place that says like fancy nails, the nails ain't fancy there. If it says the Queen's nails, the Queen don't go there. It's like reverse marketing. It's whatever they're advertising, you're not really getting that. So, let me get a refill of tea. Thanks for joining us, folks. I tried coming on earlier, but nobody was here. Everybody was busy at work. I tell you what, I don't miss doing World War II shit. And it's not because I don't like World War II shit. It's like I do this tow truck. And then maybe I want to do that Lambo that's yellow and bright. And then I want to do like some pink car that a fruit drives. Perfect. You get to mix it up and do all kinds of different stuff. And the only thing I don't really like about Gaslands is I don't like the lore that the author came up with. But he even says in the rules, look, this is what I do. You want to do something else? It works fine, you know? I'm done doing repo work. I hate getting shot at. Do you get to shoot back? There's towing, there's repo, and then there's roadside assistance. So we have roadside assistance trucks that cut through this town, and I swear they are mentally handicapped. Why do I say that? They're driving 15 miles an hour under the speed limit in the left-hand lane, pissing everybody off. Like, you know, who does shit like that? Some guy who don't care? They're always like older people, too. All right. Time for some metal. All right. We're going to do the 10 bits. We're going to do the 10 bits on this, on the front here, and on the clamp. Because the clamp, for whatever reason, this 3D printer does excellent work. But this particular device looks like it's almost barnacled with rust. You know? You can't say if you're allowed to shoot back or not. I'm kidding. You don't want to shoot back. It's not worth it. I wouldn't want to deliver pizzas. Like, I'm not going to that neighborhood. I'll get eaten alive. I go into that neighborhood, they'll have their way with me, and I'm going to get more than just the tip. Roadside assistance sometimes pay better than towing, especially when it involves electric. What's an electric vehicle? You know, I don't have any yet. None of these cars are electric. I don't see myself ever having an electric vehicle until they put a third pedal in them. And since they're not going to do that, I'm safe. I think I got one of the last years that they stopped putting all the nonsense in cars. 2021, I think there's some 2022s that don't have all the bullshit with the automatic braking, the things that make you think you're going to die. You know, the brakes slam on for no reason. You know? EVs, you know, those battery-operated vehicles that are harping on, like the Tesla. Oh, the ones that are made completely in China? Well, I don't know how good of a welder you are, Tritark. I've never done it before. But I think if we both got trashed and decided to take up welding and welded our own vehicle out of a dumpster, it would look better than the Tesla truck. You towed a Cybertruck once. It might look awesome on the inside. I honestly don't know. It looks like a shitty... I mean, the only way it could be worse is it could be like, you know, like orange or something like that, you know? Okay, so we're going to just give this a dry brush of this color. Okay, and this is just to simulate, hey, this is steel, and these ass clowns decide to let it get rusty a little bit. And I'm going to do the same thing with the mesh here, which isn't really mesh, it's 3D printed plastic. I got this stuff recently. And the clamper. Is there a vehicle that you find attractive that most people think is unattractive? That's a good question. Nobody's asked me that. A vehicle that you find attractive that other people don't find attractive. Now, the other way around is easy. There's lots of vehicles I find unattractive that people like. Like These vehicles are ugly. From the 1950s. Sorry. You know, back when America was great, those vehicles are ugly as shit. I think that's what they mean when, you know, they think America was great. Okay. So we have that. You know what? I'm going to go the whole hog. We're going to do these rusty tin bits on here too. I'm fine with people collecting things. I don't understand buying things and not taking them out of the package. Okay. I went to the vintage store in Ocala, which is, you know, 30, 40 miles south of where I'm at. That's where I get all this cheap stuff. And, or some of these, you know, yesteryear's ones, and they're still $1. It's not like I'm paying $15 for them. I'm paying a lot for that one Subi, but that's because I specifically wanted that vehicle. And I went into this other place that was kind of cool also, but they had things that were more high priced. You know, I don't want to buy $5 and $10 cars when I may have the same body style and it's just for a paint job, it costs $1 kind of thing. You know, there's just no point in paying. I'd rather have 5 of a different vehicle than one of them. But regardless, I digress. I go into this store and they have the GI Joes that I had when I was a kid. I'm talking about the ones from like 82, 83, 84, right? The I think they're called 3 3/4 inch. They have the articulated arms, you know, the GI Joe figures. They had them up on the wall, like in this vacuum case, $220 each, unopened. Now, I just don't understand buying a toy and never playing with it. It's like buying these cars. I can understand buying these cars, not doing anything to them, and displaying them in a case. Cool. But displaying them on a card, I just don't get that. You know, at that point, you're just buying shit, you know? You like truck vans. Truck vans. What the hell is a truck van? Oh, do you mean like this African thing that I have? You'll know what I'm talking about when I say that. Where is my African thing? And by African thing, I have this particular vehicle that I got for my imaginations in Africa, and it is actually it's a really cool vehicle. Actually, it looked like an African Technical is what it looked like to me. Let me see if I can find it. It's like a Dodge van, but it has a flatbed on the back. And it's like from the 60s. Here it is. This thing. This is a cool vehicle. I'm not using this for Gaslands. I don't think so. This is a cool fucking vehicle. Yellow. No shit, dude. Yeah, it's a Johnny Lightning. 1965? Dodge pickup? Yeah. Talking about something like that? Ford Centurion E350 van truck. I'll have to look up what that is. Oh, look what we have here. Oh, yeah. I ain't getting on no plane. I actually got this for my African Imaginations thing. If these guys showed up on the field, they couldn't hurt anybody. They couldn't kill anybody. They just wounded folks. I ain't getting on no plane. I tried to watch that again several years ago. It's funny as hell. Obviously it's dorky. But man, the writing's actually pretty good. It's pretty humorous. Centurion E350 van truck. Okay. Let's see what the hell that thing looks like. The Viper. Speaking of the Viper, I don't like Vipers. You know why? They look like two cars that are put together. What's that Audi that's that way? Is it that Audi A8? I mean, it's a fast car, but it looks like two vehicles that are spliced together. However, I've driven a Viper on video games, and man, it's like driving on a soapy basketball court. The E350 van truck. Let's see what you're looking at here. What the? What? I've never seen something like that. It's interesting. It's interesting. I don't know about the wood paneling, man. That fake wood paneling shit that they use. That's interesting. That is, you know, if you've got one that has those big, like, custom window things on the side, that's like perfect for drive-bys. That's interesting. I bet it doesn't get up to speed fast though. Interesting. I bet they make one of those with a toe thing on the back. Those have those tiny little compartments there for the engine. You got an engine that's the size of a whale, and the hood only opens up, like a foot and a half. Probably a nightmare to work on, I would imagine. That's why you pay somebody else to work on it, right? Isn't that how it works? Get back to the comment section here. You find them adorable, like an overgrown. I can see that. I can see that. Okay. Well, you get extra points for originality, no doubt about it. You're not like everybody else that likes the same old thing. That's not the same old thing. I'm not a pickup truck fan person. You pickup truck pickup trucks just too expensive. Like Jeep Wranglers. Jeep Wranglers are cool, but you're paying a lot of money for all that suspension that none of us need. It just looks cool. Look at this thing. Look how tiny the wheels are on this bastard. It is kind of like a dog of sorts. Hey, your name's not Kevin, is it? Because this could be your truck. This will be some redneckistani guy that drives it. Too much of this paint. Lights on in the wrong place here. Let's go. Oh, because I don't have this on. What's wrong with me? Yeah, I wasn't sure I was going to come back on because I just decided to do the show at the wrong time. So I was supposed to, I don't know if you guys were talking about it this weekend, but I was talking about we're going to do a live show on Saturday, and my accomplice now finds out they can't make it. They can't make it that day, so we will not be doing the live show. Something about he has to blow Mickey on that day or something. I don't know. Got to go to Orlando or something. I said, all right, well, we'll do it next time I have free reign of the house because I'm all here by my lonesome. Not that I can't do that while the girls are here, but it's a hell of a lot easier not having to worry about them. Not that I'm worried about them, but not having to be considerate about what they're doing at all. Being inconsiderate. You're not inconsiderate if they're not here. All right, we're going to let this dry a little bit. In the meantime, we're going to go ahead and put some washing on the pin washing on the panels. And for that, of course, we're going to use Army Painter Dark Tone. All water-based products. If you want to use enamels, go right ahead. But you're not going to get any traction from me on that. I ended up picking up that Tamiya one, and it doesn't work any better than this, in my opinion. There we go. All right. How dirty does a tow truck get? It's probably pretty dirty. It's actually the dishwasher being loud. See, I've got a case. I just, I've got to put these things somewhere. And it's out of the way here on the wall. I get like 72 vehicles in there. So I'll probably need a second one soon. But let's get the one up. And that way I can just pull them from the case instead of trying to unwrap them. You're not a Kevin. Kevin's 24-hour towing. I guess he never gets any sleep. So I did have a tow situation that happened to me recently. My car wouldn't start, and I knew it was having starting issues coming up. So we ended up. I didn't want to deal with it over Thanksgiving because places were going to be closed. So I waited a week, alternated driving my wife's car and my daughter's car to work for a week. When the following weekend came up, I'm like, all right, I'm just going to take it to the dealership and see what it is. Okay, because we've got one of those insurance plans or whatever. I hate for it to be take it anywhere and then it's something that would have been covered by the plan. So, and it wouldn't start. So we had to call AAA. And I got a lady tow truck driver. And I was sitting there, and she was pretty knowledgeable. But I was sitting there thinking they probably give her hell all the time for being a lady tow truck driver. Because I don't think I've never even seen a lady tow truck driver. But checked it out. Figured out it was the battery. It had juice, just wasn't the battery. Well, it's one of those things that just goes out. It's a lot better than a starter going out, and a lot cheaper. And it really didn't matter how long it took them to get there because I was at the house. Sometimes you have to go on dirt roads. You ever gotten stuck? That annoying? You're like, I'm here to unstick somebody and I get stuck. A tow truck that's stuck, that's like a cop car that gets pulled over for going too fast, or a fire truck on fire. Your company has, let's see. Your company has a lady tow truck driver, but she usually drives flatbed, which is one of the easier jobs. Well, it's a flatbed still that tows, right? In other words, it doesn't have a hook on it. We'll hire you, but we got to give you the easy jobs. What? That's discriminatory. Fine, lady, take all the hard jobs. That's not fair either. I had a driver many years ago. He'd complain if you gave him too many hours, and if you cut back on him, he wasn't getting enough hours. I think the guy just wanted to sit at fucking home and draw a paycheck. Steering wheel holder. I'm surprised that the things I see people do when they're on the interstate and they're stopped on the side of the road. They'll be like changing their tire and have their head right next to traffic. I'm like, I ain't changing that. Somebody else can fucking die. That's why we had that plan. Do I know how to change a tire? Absolutely. Am I going to do it while there's people going 80 miles an hour on the highway? Absolutely not. Absolutely not going to do it. In my driveway? Sure. No problem. I worked on my car in the driveway. I got stuck once, but all tow trucks have a wrench for that reason, to get out of a bind. Are there any small? You said usually takes smaller vehicles, cars, compacts, and small trucks. I don't know that small trucks exist anymore. I mean, what's the smallest truck that exists? Like the Maverick? I mean, the Maverick, I guess, is a small truck, but man, it's a lot bigger than the Ranger used to be. Remember the Rangers from the early 80s? Those were small. I had a friend of mine who had an Isuzu Pup. That thing was small. That thing was really small. It was like a Yugo with a flatbed on the back, with a bed on it. Two people fit in there, and that was it. And your rear window was like millimeters from the back of your head. So, if you got whiplash, you were going to spiderweb the back windshield. And I remember, and we're talking about like when I was old enough to drive but didn't have a car, right? And you're looking for like, man, what can I afford? I mean, I never got a pickup truck, but pickup trucks were cheaper than cars. If you got like the equivalent pickup truck of a car, like if you had like I don't know, like a small pickup truck that was made by Nissan, right? The equivalent small pickup truck made by Nissan would be cheaper than Nissan's cheapest car by like 25%. And then something happened. And then something happened in maybe the 90s or something like that, where trucks all of a sudden cost 25% more than cars, or more than that. But trucks used to be cheaper. It's like, okay, it's only half the body and the rest of it is just fucking sheet metal or whatever, And then all of a sudden, maybe they just got too fancy, The new Ranger is considered a small truck. The new trucks, Suburbans, Escalades, other large vehicles are too big for the flatbeds. That's where your rig comes in. So you drive like a tractor trailer looking thing. You drive one of these. Put Tritarch on it. MC Tritarch. Yeah, this has got gold and bling, and he's got bling wheels and everything. Yeah, I got some extra speakers laying around, so we're gonna put some. This is gonna be Toe Jam. No, not a wrecker. I wish, because they get paid much more than I do. Well, this is going to have a weapon in the game called, I believe it's called the grabber arm. And the grabber arm, I haven't used one, but on paper, it looks like it would be a lot of hilarity. If you're within short distance of somebody, you basically can pick up their car and move it again, and you get to choose what direction it's pointing in. Now remember, it's already going in some gear, right? So somebody's like in fourth gear or something like that. Say they're in this vehicle here. And you pull up next to them, and you can pick them up and point them, in some ridiculous direction. And there could be a wall here, and now they have to deal with that. So it could be, it could be pretty funny. Realistic? Who cares? This isn't a realistic game. So back to that question that I asked you. The question was, any cars that I like that most people don't like? I don't know that applies to me. The car I really wanted as my first car and couldn't afford it was a Nissan 240 SX. it was like $8,000 more than I could afford. I would have loved to have that. And actually, it's a vehicle that seems like if you keep it in good shape, which a lot of people don't, seems to hold their value only because it was like, for drifting and stuff like that. I don't give a shit about drifting. I think if you're drifting, you're going too fast. There's nothing satisfying about sliding all over the place. What I drive is an F450. That sounds like a huge monster of a vehicle. Ford F450. Ford F450 tow truck. That's a good looking vehicle. I mean, it's like sawed off. That's a good looking vehicle. I'm not just saying that. I think it's a good looking vehicle. Cool. What color is it? That definitely needs a fucking ram on it. Out of my way, mortal! When my daughter was little, she made a comment about a truck. She says, yeah, one of those Ford Fizos. Ford Fizo? She saw an F-150 and thought it was Fizo. I don't even know what the heck the 150. It's definitely not 150 horsepower. That wouldn't be worth a shit if you only had 150 horsepower in an F-150. That's a Corolla. Red and black. Okay. Emo colors? That's an emo color, huh? Well, the Tesla truck proves that just because you think something's ugly, there's always somebody who's going to want to drive it. Or maybe the people that have them realize they're ugly too. They just want it because it's a statement, Some people want the attention, even if it's bad attention. Okay, I think we're going to need to bring this up to the regular metal before I go and put the black lining on it. So I'm going to rinse this out so we don't have it sitting there. And let's get the Iron Warriors back out with a smaller brush this time. Company logo is big white letters. Yeah, repo. Yeah, that's a problem. They can't afford to pay for the truck, but they'll shoot at you. Like those rent-to-own places. Remember when people used to do layaway on things? There was a store that we had here in town, and I think it was based in Jacksonville. So I don't know if they had it in South Carolina, but it was called Pick and Save. And Pick and Save was like poor man's Kmart. Okay? So like Kmart, like when Walmart showed up on the scene, it was definitely a tier above Kmart. And Pick and Save was a tier below Kmart, maybe even 2 tiers below it. But yet they had a buffet. I mean, it was just like, and I remember they had a layaway department. I don't know that anybody has layaway anymore. So we have this undertone of this rusty pop metal. So these Impalas, these lowriders that are Impalas, are actually good looking vehicles. I knew somebody who had one, and that door I was commenting on yesterday, it's a huge vehicle for being a coupe. I don't know if they're really considered a coupe, but it's definitely a two-door car. You could almost get in the back seat without tilting the seat up. But that door is like a weapon. It's huge. It is a huge freaking door, all steel. It's an interesting car. I like these cars. What are they called? Well, they did the whole wife swap thing on them with the Chargers and Challengers, right? Because the Challenger looks the new Challenger looks like the old Charger. Anyways, those retro things, I think it looks really good. That's a great looking car on the outside. It may be a piece of crap. It may be really unreliable, but I think that aesthetically they look great. A lot of those muscle cars are actually really attractive. Now, I don't think I'd want to drive something where I can do this with the steering wheel and the car doesn't move at all. You know. Um, oh, let me bring my video up to behind. Yeah, I wouldn't want to. You can move the steering wheel. Multiple. What's going on here with this video feed? Yeah, where you're just, you're moving 3 or 4 inches and the vehicle isn't moving at all. It's not responding to it, sluggish or what have you. Your biggest tow truck we have is a Chevy C7 500 white and red, which used to pull shuttle buses with. I only drove it once and it's a hog. We had this, we don't have tow trucks, but we had, tractor trailers and stuff. And when I started working at this company, we had this vehicle that had a crane on it. They had removed the crane and it was just flatbed on the back, but they called it the watermelon truck. I don't know why, but the cab, I think it was a Chevy. Actually, I'm not sure. It might have been a Mack. And it's probably a Mac. Anyhow, the console in it was so big that you couldn't cross over very easily from the driver's side to the passenger side at all, because this console was so meaty, and everybody hated driving that thing. It had been a it had been a truck that had a crane on it, like for setting septic tanks. So yeah, it probably was a Mac because we had several Macs at that time, but everybody hated that. It was in 1974. 1974. So yeah, it was an old truck. So, but truck drivers will complain about anything. Oh man, I can't drive my own truck. I got to drive somebody else's. They'll complain about that. They're just prima donnas. I guess you get used to sitting on your ass. A little bit more. I don't know who this Kevin guy is, but we're going to call him at 2:45 in the morning and wake his ass up since he has 24-hour service. All right. Let's get that primer black out here because we missed a couple spots. Nothing major, but Freightliners are even worse. What do we have? What do we have that's impossible to work on? Oh, we have some Kenworths that are a pain in the fucking ass. They've got that DEF shit. Man, the industry's not ready. Wasn't ready for work with that shit. Every vehicle that we have that has that DEF always had issues. Just go back a bunch of times, and we don't have the place that we work on. We don't work on our own vehicles, and we have to take them like the Kenworths have to go like an hour and a half to go get worked on. So that's of course really challenging. Yeah, we've had nothing but issues with the Kenworths. They look good. All right, so this is going to be some kind of cable there that you use. This is like a looks like a shock here, so we're going to go ahead and paint that black so we can put metal on it. And we got flashing lights on here. I don't know what color flashing lights would be on a tow truck. Maybe orange? Not red, that's for sure. You know, they say you can change your headlamps whatever color you want. You just can't use red and blue. You know, obviously, it's not we're not impersonating anybody. I see people with reddish tinted things. I'm just waiting for them to get a speed ticket. We got some cops here with nothing better to do, anyways. Orange? Okay. That's what we'll do. You know, I like these vehicles that have some semblance of what they used to be before they got turned into an apocalyptic nightmare. You know, other people may not care, but I do. You got to keep yourself in check. Otherwise, you might do some crazy shit. Okay, we'll let that dry, and of course, we'll start layering on the orange on top of that. Latest Raymond's Fire Trucks Blues for Police. Yeah, we got some lights on some cops that are just like really distracting. Like you're gonna cause an accident. Like you see that in the corner of your eye, and almost like will blind you. With all the LEDs and all that shit. You ever had a cop while you're doing a tow? You ever had a cop come up to you and say, "Hey, you need to get the hell out of here. You're blocking the road," or something like that? Instead of being helpful, just being like a fucking prick, like they want to run the damn show. I don't just like cops. I just like people not minding their own business. That they don't have anything to do. The police you work for with repos, pretty chill. City cops can be douche canoes, but most state troopers and county cops are chill. Carson Holdren, welcome. Douche canoe. Yeah, can you basically say you're not going to do repos, or you're forced to do them? Of course, I guess as a company, you could just decide, hey, we're not going to do that. We don't want our employees being shot at. Hey, don't shoot at me. I'm just a repo guy. Go to the place you bought this from and go shoot them up. How long do they let you keep a car before they repo it? Like, obviously, not missing one payment. You know, cars are ridiculously expensive in the last 5 years. I don't know how some people are driving around with. I think I saw an ad for the other day, and it was like a Porsche ad, right? Like, hey, come to whatever and come buy this thing. It was $134,000. Who the hell has 134? That's a mortgage. Who the hell has a mortgage car? You have to miss several payments. I would think like 6 months or something. Maybe even more than that. And have an attitude like, I'll pay you when I get paid, or, something like that. Well, hopefully, if you guys are go repo something and they shoot at you, you can, some repercussions can come to those people. Just call in the SWAT team button that's there on your console. Banks are usually lenient. It's the liens and the insurance companies that badger the banks to make a move. Well, I wasn't. I mean, I don't miss any payments, but just seems like that's a big pain in the butt. You'd have to like not pay for like a year or something like that. I don't know. There's got to be some funny business going on with insurance and all that kind of stuff. Because, like, for instance, we had this house in the old neighborhood, and it was like 4 houses down from us on the opposite side of the road. We were on vacation one year, and like over a weekend, and that particular house, 4 houses down from us, caught fire. Houses don't catch fire anymore. I mean, if you like, you try to catch fire, okay, if it hits it by lightning, but they just don't catch fire. Like, there was like, I saw pictures of it, 6 and 8 foot flames off the top of the roof. And immediately when that happened, I knew exactly what happened, because the guy that lived in that house, I met him because he used to take his daughter. He has a daughter about the same age as my daughter, and when they were little, we'd take them to go swimming there. I mean, we weren't buddies or anything. We just would run into him at the pool. He was a guy from mainland China, nice guy. It was back when I was building Chinese armies and stuff like that. So I had some stuff to talk to him about history and shit. And he was like, he was impressed that I knew about his history, or some of it, or maybe even more than he knew, but whatever. He sold solar powered hot water heaters. And I'm sure he jerry rigged something in his attic, and it short circuited or something. And I mean, I'm just putting two and two together. It just doesn't make sense that why would that happen to somebody you know that did that. But anyways, so that house, that probably happened when my daughter was 8 or 10 years old or something like that. So that was 10 years ago, and that house still hasn't been fixed. Like, okay, that property belongs to somebody, And somebody is just using that as a write-off. I mean, it's just like, it doesn't make any sense that in the middle of this neighborhood, they wouldn't repair this house. So I was literally, that the roof burned on it. So it was open to you drive by and you could see light from the roof coming in there. And it would rain and rain. And so I'm sure there was mold and rats and I mean, it's like, you got to just tear that whole thing down and start over. Insurance is the main reason why things get hostile. Insurance, something you overpay for and you're not allowed to use it. That they use it, you drop it. And last time I tried to do it, the guy ended up rear-ending me. Just did cosmetic damage, but the guy had no insurance. But he drove a BMW, but had no insurance. So the fact that happened to me means there's a lot of people out there driving without insurance. They don't have anything to lose, I guess. Or maybe that's what they learned from their mom and dad. I don't know. I wouldn't dare not have insurance. And then can't even use it. All right, this Kevin dude, whoever this guy is, I could get chat to give me a backstory for Kevin, the tow truck driver, and why he decides to go in a demolition derby to the death. It's not a very impressive vehicle. It's a truck. Okay, it's got a ram. All right, that's pretty good. It's got one machine gun to the front. Well, that's pretty lame. But it's got this wicker picker thing. So hopefully the wicker picker thing is pretty interesting. Hopefully it's pretty interesting. I need to give this a treatment on the back. Man, that dishwasher is loud. Well, I loaded it, so I probably loaded it wrong. My wife always gets on to me about loading it wrong. Hey, I don't load it wrong. I'm just like, I'll load the thing in the best possible position that's available when I load that piece. I don't readjust anything. So I usually start loading and she finishes, but she's not here this week. She's on a cruise, so I can do whatever the fuck I want. I didn't get invited to go on the cruise, and it's a good thing because really can't. This is the wrong time for that. Work is just ridiculous. Okay. So we have that done. I'm going to weather this thing. That's what we're going to do next. So we all know what those are. Well, I didn't think I was going to get this thing done tonight, and I kind of want to paint some of this blue paint on the front of this a little bit. It's one of the things I enjoy doing the most is actually doing the color match. Let's do that. Like they made some kind of attempt to put it on there, and it got so rusty the paint came off. We're going to need some of this blue and a little bit of Mr. Black. The washing machine is one of the main sources why I get La Chanclad. She wants it loaded a certain way. I'm gonna say something out here, and I'm gonna put this out here, and I don't care if she was listening. I do a damn good job of not mixing colors. I'm really good about that. I lived alone a long time and I had my own washing machine. Um, it just seems like every month she's doing some kind of mix. Okay, now we're using this for the detergent and we're using this for the rinse cycle, and I'm like, I can't keep track. We had did the same thing for the longest time, and then it changed. Yeah, I don't have. I generally don't have uh, washing machine episodes of incompetence. I make different mistakes. Mine's more the dishwasher than the washing machine. All right, so we're gonna paint some of this on here, and that way, when we rust it, we'll have some of this paint that will actually we can tell what happened. Oh yeah, that's good. This looks better already. Has she really thrown a chancla at you? Sounds like someone needs to have a talk with Maria. You don't give a shit as long as your clothes get clean, no longer smells like an engine. You don't want me to do laundry. Okay. You might get shit mixed up, faded, and what have you. No, I don't, I don't want to have to rebuy clothes. Honestly, my clothes don't get that dirty. They just smell from just being outside because Florida fucking stinks. You go out there and you have clean, you take a shower, put on deodorant, new shirt, go out and bring the garbage can in. You smell like a fucking shrimp salad. It's like, and it eventually goes away, but that's usually what the issue is, And at work, anything below my belt line is just, it gets all dusty because, especially like with no rain we've had, it's like the Pillsbury Doughboy out there. You get all the, you get a bunch of like, almost like crushed lime rock, you know. She has thrown her slipper and flip flops at me several times. Man, you start getting good at dodging those like W when they threw that shoe at him in Iraq. Cat-like reflexes. Yeah, some local got upset with him and threw a shoe at him. I guess that's the biggest Muslim influence, get hit by a shoe. Well, it's not very insulting if you don't get hit by it. Okay, and then now we got something for the drippings to stick onto. I'm going to do the same thing with the netting on the side. We're just going to kind of go over it. And then that way when we put the drippings, they'll actually stand out a little bit more on that part. Man, that looks good. This is a good looking tow truck, man. Yes, I'm talking about. That's why I want to drive it again. Don't you do that stuff? What? And we're going to do the same thing with the front here. And put some paint on it. Some bitch all faded. What? I love that redneck talk. That shit is funny as hell. As you got to have these redneck people in here because you can't make fun of people if they're not in the game. I remember Mitch and I went to go play some game that ended up being a Civil War game. It was Ironclads. And I'm like, I don't. This might be cool. I said, let's both play Confederates because I don't want to sit around and talk like a Yankee the whole time. And we had a blast. The game was broken and we got our ass kicked, but the game was broken because the mechanics of when you got to do anything were fucked for people that didn't have a turreted weapon. Get her done! Get her done! Ain't gonna do it! They want me to do some repo. Fuck that shit. I ain't gonna do it. I ain't gonna do it. I ain't gonna do it. list of all those sayings, like it's raining like a cow pissing on a flat rock, all those kind of things. That's more fucked up than Hogan's goat. And my favorite one that I've only heard one time from one person is, you better not mess with what is it? You'd sooner stick a noodle up a wildcat's ass than mess with me. Man, anybody ever seen my fill in the blank, whatever it is? It's a MacGuffin. It doesn't really matter what you're looking for, right? Anybody ever seen my wrench? If it was up your ass eating a bowl of grits, you'd know where it was. I ain't doing that repo shit. That some bitch gonna shoot me. No, the hell they ain't. This little guy looks pretty fucking cool. Now, the only thing I don't like about it is the wheels are just like really small, almost like Mario Kart. I don't know, are Mario Kart wheels big? I don't know. It looks cartoonish, but that's all right. This is a Hot Wheels. It does not seem like a Hot Wheels. I mean, it's got freaking 6 peg holes on the bottom. It had no interior, so I never took it apart. Have you ever worked in like using little like I'm educated. Oh yeah. That's it. I mean, that's what's fun about playing this game is you get to do all that kind of stuff on there. Rednecks. Just wait till you run into one of the. I got a team that's going to be all the fruity people. That's going to be fun. I ain't gonna mess with them Homer sectionals. But I am. What I have done is, if they got rebel flags, I'm flipping the colors. I don't want to run into any issues where it's like you're promoting hate. No, I'm not. It doesn't, rednecks would have freaking Confederate flags on them. I've seen them my whole life. It doesn't bother me any. They're just proud of the war they lost and not wearing shoes. I'm not offended by that. I've seen it my whole life. It's not a big deal. Okay, I'm leaving the pincher on the back just like it is. All right, now we're going to do some weatherification on it. All right, now we'll do that. See, now I'm excited. Now I'm like, all right, this thing's starting to get a personality on it, And I like to be excited about every single vehicle. Your barefoot blue jeans. Well, if you're inside, there's nothing wrong with being barefoot inside. I don't think I'm ever barefoot while I'm wearing pants. Meaning, if I'm barefoot, I've got shorts on. I don't think I'm ever barefoot with pants on. With long pants, I I don't I don't think so. Okay. This little guy right here. We'll have to come back and do the the siren I was about to say. No, the lights. We'll have to come back to that. All right. How much mud you going through there? I don't know. Got quite a bit. Well, this guy's not going to be Kevin. He works for Kevin. Okay? This guy will be like Booger or something like that. I got one of them that's going to be spit stain. He's going to have all kinds of dip drippings off of his door and shit like that. You mean you wear shorts around here and you're an all you can eat for them skeeters? Yeah, you know, the fruity people like to taste the rainbow. I got a couple of them on my teams. There's nothing wrong with that. They're allowed to fight to the death too, you know. I got one I found a pink Porsche. I'm like, oh, going to be on the German team. That's going to be Dieter. Yep. We want to represent all kinds of folks. Oh, you don't have mosquitoes now. That's the worst thing about Florida is the weather. People are like, oh man, I moved to Florida because of the weather. What kind of a hellhole did you live in that you like the weather here? And actually, I can deal with it being hot. It's the bugs that just drive you crazy. And I'll take the mosquitoes over the flying roaches. Those palmetto bugs, they scare me. They're creepy. I can't deal with that shit. All right, we're going to do lots of... like it's been to the mud hole. You got those things in South Carolina. What are they called? Mud bogs. I'm sure you do. All right, now we'll go with a lighter one. Bring it up some. Got down to 18. Yeah, it got pretty cold. I think the high here was like 54. And I'm not complaining, other than I wish I hadn't been at work. But I think it's like, before I got on, it was cold in the house. It was like 61. Well, I'm wearing a minimum amount of clothes. And I'm not running the heater. The heater's for sissies. And it saves a lot of money. Bogs, that's a playground, so I guess you do have them. And then when we do the drippings on top of this, that's when the whole plan starts to come together here. We'll do a little bit in this color up the side. Little bit. Yeah, there's some subtle lines in the body of this vehicle that you can't tell unless you do some dry brushage. But the secret with this is you got to give this thing a flat coat. So whatever you do to this plastic or the body color will adhere to it. Otherwise, it's just, you apply it and it'll just run right off. All right, now we get the Iraqi sand. Your truck has a good heater. Yeah, I will run the heater in the car, but mainly to defrost the windshield. And that's the problem with the heater in the house, because like if you had like a heater, like a space heater, okay, you get a temperature you want and you turn the thing off. Not like, if you warm up your house, like it takes a long time to get that damn, and just, it kills all the moisture. I'm not a fan. They'll run it at work, but we got a bunch of candy ass people at work. They get cold for whatever reason. Put on some fucking clothes, man. You can get a lot more done if you're cold at work than if you're hot. It was like a fucking wave pool. That's because you put a bowl on the bottom level and it's making that sound. Whatever, you load it, lady. So it looks a little baby boy blue. Can we get a close-up of the truck? Need to hop off soon because I need to get up super early. All right? Let me move it to the other side. It's going to look a lot brighter for you than it is. It's pretty bright. Let's see if we can get the lighting in the right place. Is this one helping or hurting? It's not helping at all. So it's got no drippage on it yet. And see there in there, it's got a little Ford logo. We're going to paint that in there. Actually, I'm not going to write Ford in it, but, Looks like we got some tail lights back there. I guess they're tail lights. Maybe they're places to hook something to. It's an old truck. Ford Transit Wrecker. Does it say the year? Does not. It's strange. You can't find any vehicles by Hot Wheels made in China, but back in this earlier time period, even in the early 80s, you could. And I don't know if they meant Taiwan at that point or something, but 10 out of 10 would drive it. Well, it's going to look it's going to look better. We can do better than this, so we will. I like to be respectful and make everything look cool. So, that little grab handle, though, that's going to be a son of a bitch. I hope so. That's the whole purpose, is to have that thing. Yeah, we got still some details to do to it. All right, drippy time. Drippy Dripplestein. I guess don't we have a fresh one to use? That's not as distracting. Yeah, we got the edges over here we can use. All right. Light tone. Soft tone. Mid-brown. Yeah, the vehicles I like the most for this game are actually muscle cars. I think muscle cars look the best for this game. Like that Barracuda that I have. I love that Barracuda. That, what is that thing called? Mr. Green Scream. Mr. Green Scream. I love that car. That's a great car. That's a great car for this type of a game. Something that looks hardy, like it's got some steel on it, like you can take a punch, you can put stuff on it, and you know, and it's not going to fall apart. Yeah, I personally like rice burners, but they're just not going to do well in this environment. You know, sway hooks will be below the bumper since that's hooked to the frame itself. It's probably a 2007. This thing? No, it's got to be older than that. Well, I don't know. Maybe it's a similar model they've had for a. You probably know more about it than I do. It's This model is certainly older than 2007. Hot Wheels, what's it called? Ford Transit Wrecker. Let's see what year. Let's see what year this is. All this information is on. There's a lot of like history and stuff like that with these Hot Wheels. Let's see what I can get from it. What's it called? Hot Wheels. Hot Wheels. Ford Transit Wrecker. Oh my God, it's 1997. Well, somebody's trying to sell one for $91.78. I don't think I want to. I want to find a tow truck in Christmas colors, even with Christmas shit. So I'd call it mistletoe and have a fucking missile on the thing. So we have toe jam, mistletoe, and whatever we end up calling this thing. We'll have a name before we finish it. Yeah. This looks very old. It looks like an 81 or something like that. 1997. What the fuck do I know? Yeah. It's a cool vehicle. It's got some personality. You're going off the low-cut hood design. Well, you know more about it than I do. There's no doubt about it. If they came with guns, I'd mounted on them. I'd probably know more about them. That's such violence. I said I'm a pacifist every day. I went to the model meeting and I told the guy, I brought in some cars. There's some guys that all they do is to build cars. I say, man, I like doing these cars, but I got to put guns on them. You know. All right, let's mix us up a brew here of a rusty paradise. So we're going to have some drippings here that are going to get caught underneath the machine gun. Well, why do you make your stuff so rusty? Because wherever this is, there's no EPA and we just have like acid rain and all kinds of bad shit. I don't want to sound like, Al Gore's my hero or anything like that, but I'm just saying, you'll have some time off after Christmas. All right, man. Thanks for coming by, man. Don't be a stranger. Beware the chancla. Yeah. I haven't even finished one tow truck and I already want to do three more. I gotta get a mistletoe. That'd be awesome. I like everything that's like a play on words. That's part of my enjoyment. All right. This is going to be rusty and it's going to drip from there. And here, also from there. Yeah, I know. Work has just been crazy. People say, man, you're lucky your work is that busy. I said, well, my therapist likes it. I'll tell you what, though, when you're working, when there's so much stress from work, it makes you pretty unsympathetic to people that are like retired or what have you. You know, because it's like, man, I don't even have time to like catch my breath. And it's not like it's just seasonal. Like it's that way all the fucking time. Put some of this rusty shit in here as well. Of course, you won't really know how good this looks until we end up hitting it with a flat coat. That evens everything out, all the tones. Let's go to the other side. Man, it got late all of a sudden. I don't know that I'll be able to finish this tonight. We don't want to rush this thing. We want this thing to look, you know, something to be proud of. But hopefully that wall mount will work. That'll make it a lot easier to share, you know, when somebody says, hey, do a Ferrari or whatever, and I can show you guys the Ferraris I've done instead of like, hold on a second, I got to find out which one of these wrappers it's inside of. And of course, if all this is going to be corroded, when this rains, it's going to collect down here. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and stop now, and then we'll finish up in the morning, and hopefully we can post pictures tomorrow morning of how this thing turned out. We'll have a name for it by then, and then we can move on to the next project. But just because it's a tow truck doesn't mean you can't make it look cool, you know? Everything's important. Doesn't matter whether it's a school bus or a Lamborghini. All right, folks. Thanks for stopping by. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye-bye.